Welcome to the Eye Active Health Show with your host Khalil Smith, and we got Josh Gilliam here. We're going to talk about how he started out as a pro bodybuilder and an entrepreneur, and talk about his business. So I'll be right back after this introduction. All right, welcome to the Eye Active Health Show, Josh. Right before we start, at the end of this show, I would like for you to give my audience some tips. If they want to become a bodybuilder, what 3 tips would you give them? And for somebody who's trying to lose weight, so in this scenario, they're trying to lose weight, but they have that urge, but they don't know how to go about it, how to start. It's that mental shift. So I would like you to give them 5 steps for that. All right, let's get in. Let's talk about you. How you doing today?
Doing pretty good, man. First off, I just want to, say hello to your audience, and I, appreciate you for having me on, man. I look forward to bringing some value to your audience today, man.
I appreciate you coming on. So I want to talk about Ascension Athletics and how you started after college. I was looking at your your Instagram page, your story, just strolling through it, trying to learn.
Right.
I want to hear how you started and why you started.
So Ascension Athletics, I started that right after college. Started it primarily because in the fitness industry, I don't think that there's enough diversity, right? For African Americans, people of color, right? The fitness industry, I feel like, is catered towards one audience. Not saying that we don't work out, but holistically, if you look at the whole industry, I don't think that there's enough diversity. So that's why I created the brand, was to be able to reach out to the minority middle class America, right? And that's why I started. Started in the middle of Bolton Park. You still here in North Carolina? Or are you?
Nah, not anymore. I'm in Georgia right now.
Okay, so yeah, you remember Bolton Park? That's where I
Yes.
started that, right there in the middle of Bolton Park. Started with literally $20 to my name and nothing but 5 and below equipment. Within 9 months, I was able to get to my first brick and mortar location, 637 Peters Creek Parkway. That's where we're at right now. And then pretty much still didn't have anything when I got in there. Started, pretty much training classes, and then just kept reinvesting the money back in the business and growing it.
So that's incredible. First of all, congratulations. I like what you're doing. I appreciate it. And I know like you're making a lot of people happy, healthy, and it looked like a family environment, like how you cater to them.
Sure, bro.
Like what made you take that risk with going into like a brick and mortar? Like that's a big thing. Like you're going to become a tenant. Then you got to look at the revenue. If you're going to bring in people, you got to like keep in mind all those things.
I think it's one of those things where they say, if when staying the same is much more painful than the change, then that's when you change, right? That's when you take that leap of faith. So for me, I couldn't sleep at night knowing that, that this vision that I had was not being fulfilled, was not, I wasn't getting closer to it. So that's what made me do it. When I got in there, of course, it was a little bit of a struggle. It was a lot of stuff I didn't know about business, about how to run a business. But I'm a big believer in taking that first step before you even, ready, because what's going to happen is you'll figure it out. Usually if we're going to die or we're going to thrive, we're usually going to thrive if we put our back up against the wall. So anybody watching this, I highly recommend that whatever you're thinking about doing, whatever risk you're thinking about taking, don't worry about how it's going to happen. Just take the first step and you'll get there.
Where did you get that insight from about taking those risks or looking into business? Do you have like any mentors you were looking at before you started? Like everybody has like a business plan, or they look at some framework somebody else did. Were you trying to like mimic anybody, or were you watching somebody else before you took that step?
So I always had the vision, even when we were in high school. I don't know if you remember, I was working out and stuff like that. So I always had the vision. I was always in the fitness, and I didn't really have a mentor or anything going into it. That would have made it a lot easier.
Definitely.
Yeah, I know that now. But yeah, I didn't have a mentor going into it. Didn't really have a model or a framework. But it's funny because I tell my coaches all the time, it's all about the models. It's all about the frameworks. It's all about, proven strategies. Follow a strategy until you've mastered it, and then you can create your own off of that. But I didn't have any frameworks or any mentors. What I just did was pretty much just read a lot of books, So I guess I did have some mentors in the books and stuff, but not specifically in real time that could talk to me like you and I are. So I read a lot of books and stuff to work on my mindset, because honestly, it's about mindset. That's really what it's about.
What books had the biggest impact on you?
I would say Think and Grow Rich, Maxwell Maltz, Psycho-Cybernetics, couple of other books, Rich Dad Poor Dad, about financial literacy, creating assets, liabilities, things that they don't teach us in school that that's what we need to learn about.
Okay, and I'm gonna turn the conversation around. Why did you get into bodybuilding? I know you were big in high school. That was something you had a passion for. But like what? Not everybody's doing that. Like I see a lot of people big in high school, but they don't go into bodybuilding.
Mm-hmm.
What got you interested in that? What did you see?
I guess it's just like you said, I had a natural proclivity towards it in high school. I was already working out. After high school, bodybuilding was something that I wanted to do. But I got into it more because after high school, started out working these 2 jobs, Taco Bell, 2 men in a truck, and I was in college at the same time. And I needed a way to make money, but I didn't like the way I was making money at Taco Bell and 2 men in a truck. It was a grind, Every Saturday, get up at 7 a.m. with 2 men in the truck. If you moving somebody's grandma and they got everything in the house, we might not get back in until 1 or 2 a.m. that next morning. And then, during the week, I'll work at Taco Bell. And after a while, I was just like, man, like this is just a grind, and that's when I was already working out. I was in between my shifts and in between school and stuff. I would work out late at night. And at the gym one day, a guy that I met, he told me, he was just like, why don't you get into bodybuilding? Why don't you look into doing it? And I was just like, I've been wanting to do it, but where are the shows at, So pretty much did some research, found a guy in Greensboro that was hosting the show, messaged him. He's like, yo, I'm 18, let me get into a show. And he was just like, all right, well, my show is in the next 3 weeks. I'd love to see what you're looking like. So I connected with him, and then he gave me a little bit of tips and pointers. I won't say he was my coach, but he gave me a little bit of tips. Took second place in the men's open at 18. And then after that, about 9 months later at 19, I took the state title. Another 6 to 9 months after that, I got my first magazine cover. And then another like 3 or 6 months after that, I turned pro. So that was, and I know I just shifted all through that. It was a lot of ups and downs in that process, but pretty much it was a natural proclivity of mine to be into fitness. And then after a while, I was like, I need a way to navigate my way out of, working at 2 men in a truck, Taco Bell, getting cussed out by customers every day. It's just, I needed something different. So I was like, why not go in the path that I'm naturally inclined towards?
Yeah, that's great. Like doing something that you were already interested in and you having fun doing it. I'm sure you had fun doing it, being on the stage, working out, looking your best. But I do want to get into the details into that. Like, what type of like beliefs or habits you had to have to attain that goal, like to be consistent? Because that's hard for most people. Like, I want to talk about that mindset.
And it's funny because they always say, is it in you or is it something that you grow over time? For me, it's hard to explain. The habits that I had to have, most definitely self-discipline. The belief that you can change, number one, this is in any area of life, the belief that you can change, right? A deeply embedded belief that hard work works, right? Because a lot of people, when they don't see results, fitness, life, anything, they don't see results the first day or the second, week or the second month, they think that it's not working, right? So you have to have a philosophy. You have to have something to guide you that you truly believe in, that you do not negotiate no matter what. I remember I used to get up early in the morning, drive to Greensboro. I would train, come back, go to school. But I had to pretty much be very self-disciplined and goal-oriented and have my blinders on what I wanted. Getting into go ahead. Yeah, sorry.
Do you kind of have that conversation with your clients, like the values being have something that you don't negotiate? Is that how those conversations kind of go?
I do. And I think it's something that people have to develop. Everybody doesn't start at the same, level playing field as far as the strength of their mindset. Of course, where you come from and the experiences you go through in life is what's going to, strengthen your mindset or weaken your mindset. But I believe that everybody can change. So I do talk to them a lot about it. And obviously you have to, as a fitness coach, you have to be able to read who you're dealing with, your client, and be able to almost be their therapist and see where they're coming from. And then when you can see where they're coming from and see how they're emotionally set, you can kind of tailor it to that.
Yeah, you're right. Like everybody's not at the same level. It's all about the conversation, I believe, and anything, and just being understanding, being empathetic, and just trying to work with where they're at. Or how did you come about the name Ascension Athletics?
Ascension Athletics, because the word ascension is to ascend, to grow higher, to always be trying to improve, to always be trying to strive to reach higher levels. So that's pretty much where I came with the name from.
So you just kind of wanted to symbolize growth, and
I feel like that's something that I stand on, right? Always trying to improve, always trying to get better, always trying to reach the next level. So that's why I named it Ascension Athletics.
Okay. Yeah. That's what's up. I like it. I don't even know why. I kept thinking about it when I was looking at it. I'm like, why did he come up with this name? Like, what is behind it?
Right.
Let me dissect this thing.
Where it came from, man.
I do want to hear about your views on intermittent fasting. How do you feel about that?
So depending on the person, intermittent fasting can be a good thing. We all know that once you eat food, you can get a little bit lethargic, right? People's energies go up and down depending on what times of day they eat. I have a buddy out in California. That's all he does is intermittent fasting, right? And he's lean. He has more energy. I myself right now, I'm cutting. And I'm not going to say I'm doing intermittent fasting, but I'm doing a form of it. And I do find that I have more energy. So it most definitely works, right? But I think that you should know your schedule, right, before you do it. You should know your discipline level before you do it. So that way you're not breaking it.
Yeah, I always thought like it can be 12 hours, 16 hours, 20 hours intermittent fasting.
Right.
But do you believe doing intermittent fasting often adds to your life?
Adds to your life, like the lifespan, you're saying?
Yeah, your lifespan. Because like I was listening to this doctor. He has his own clinic in New York. So he'll bring people in. He will get them like a questionnaire, see where their health is, if they're diabetic or not.
Right.
And they will like fast for like 40 days, but they wouldn't do any activity, and it will like add to their life. They will feel better. The insulin levels will go down.
Right.
They'll have so much energy.
I don't doubt that it could add to your life. The reason why I say that is because I believe, I'll say primarily in America, because it's not in other countries, but we have so much abundance as far as food and the options that we have, right? That I think that we think that it's normal to just put food in our body at all times of the day, go out to eat. Think about, you're down there in Atlanta. I was down there last year in August. Like, it's so much stuff to do, right? It's so much places to go, so many places to eat. And I think that we think that that's normal, what the body needs, right? But studies do show that your body does better and you do live longer off of less food. Because naturally, I'll just put it this way. I think that we put a lot of additives and extra food going out to eat in all these different restaurants. That's not really what your body needs. I think that's something that we've just grown accustomed to, but that's not what we're really here to eat. That's not how our bodies are designed to take in food. Okay.
I like that. This is for the personal trainers, the new personal trainers. What 5 tips would you give a new personal trainer trying to build a clientele?
5 tips that I would build a new personal trainer trying to build their clientele. Number 1, learn how to sell. All right, learn how to market. I would say number 1, learn how to sell. Number 2, learn how to market. Number 3 would be that you need to learn your training style, right? Because you can build a training business off of different training strategies, but for the most part, you're going to need one training style that you're the specialist in, that you're the expert, that you're known for, right? So that way you can stand out. That way you can become the celebrity in your area. Because we all know of like different, if you know a person that he's an expert in, let's say, software, or if another person's an expert in real estate, but then you meet a dude and he knows how to do real estate, he knows how to do software, and he knows how to fix cars, and he knows how which one are you going to look at as being the person that's like legit?
The one who focused in one area.
Focus, and people respect that. I think it's like a subconscious thing. You see a person going in one direction, and they have a lot of knowledge in that area. So that'd be my third thing, is that you need to be an expert, right? And then the fourth thing would be that you need to create a training system around that area of fitness that you want to go into, right? So a training system would be like a step 1, 2, 3 on how you're going to onboard your clients, what phases that they're going to go through, so that way they can expect certain things from you. So that way you can start to build predictability in your business, right? And then the next thing I would just say is be able to create like a referral system, so that way you can start to build more clients, because you said build more clientele. So
yes,
a way for them to tell their friends and family, and then, you know, it starts to grow from that.
How did you pivot during the pandemic? I know that was hard for a lot of people.
It was. We actually signed up 20 something people the week that I had to shut down, because we had a challenge that we were doing during the pandemic. The way I pivoted initially was we did a Facebook group and we hosted virtual training. So we actually still have that. We actually have a TV up in the studio now. We have clients in Virginia, South Carolina, Durham, and actually down there where you're at in Georgia.
Okay, I'm about to check into that.
Yeah, so that's pretty much how we pivoted. Is we had to go the virtual route the best we could, and then some of the others was just like, you know, trying to do stuff in the park, but it just wasn't. That was a battle that you just couldn't fight.
Okay, I'm trying to do that as well, get into the virtual. What tips would you give me if I wanted to do it virtually? Because I'm more of a hands-on when I like train people. Because like I do that in the military as a command fitness leader. I might do one-on-one training or group training, but I'm uncomfortable doing it virtual because I feel like I'm not going to have the same impact.
I would say it is a little bit different because it's not in person, right? So you're not seeing them as much. I would say you'd have to be very solid on your accountability system. So how often you're having them check in? Is it, you know, once a week, once every 3 weeks? What metrics are you going by to make sure that they're having growth? Is it their body weight? Is it, you know, what metrics are you going to cater towards, you know, your clientele base, to make sure that they know on paper what they're getting, right? So they can see it, so that way they can stay, pay, and refer. So that's what I would say is pretty much have with virtual is going to be more of accountability, and it's going to be more of having a metric to show them like, hey, you weighed this last time we talked. This is what you're weighing now. How are you feeling? All right, what's our next steps? All right, what are we going to be doing here? Where do you want to be here in 6 months? So that way they can know, because the human mind, if we don't see it, it's one thing for somebody to say my clothes are fitting different. But it's another thing for them to say my clothes are fitting different, and I'm seeing it on the scale, and I'm feeling stronger in different things. So any way you can possibly have a way to measure and track that they're making progress, as well as have a solid accountability system, I feel like is the best, in person and virtually.
Okay. Got that. Where do you see your business in 5 years?
5 years, I see my business in over 200 locations, franchised, and headquarters. I don't know where the headquarters is going to be yet.
Okay.
Actually plan on franchising later this year. So
how long has it been open so far?
So it's been 4 years, but I like to say 3 because 2020 I didn't have, it was basically just shut down. So 2018 is when I opened up, March.
Okay. Yeah, I can see that. See all them location headquarters. I see you doing big things. I like it.
Yes, sir.
I feel like anywhere it goes, it's going to be amazing.
Yeah. So what took you down to Atlanta? You're in the service now?
Military, yes.
Military? Did you go immediately after high school?
I did. I've been in 10 years.
You have been out of high school for 10 years, haven't you? That's crazy,
Yeah.
man.
You got me feeling old now.
Yeah.
But
Me too, so.
I want to ask you, so before we get into add-on active health round, I'd like to ask a couple of questions that I ask all my guests. What is your purpose in this life?
I feel like my purpose is to empower others around me. Initially, it was physically as like a one-on-one coach, like as a personal trainer. Now I have coaches under me, so I teach them more about the business side of things. Initially, it was, like I said, with the clients, but that's why I was telling you building a system around your training style. Because when I built a system around my training style, I was able to teach other coaches and other trainers how I do things. So that's my purpose. That's why I want a franchise, to be able to really expand my reach.
Okay. So I'm gonna have to talk to you more about that, the whole system processes.
I
Did you go to school for what did you go to school for? I'm just curious.
went to school for exercise phys here in some state.
Okay.
So
My second question is, how do you go about lowering your cortisol level? Because sometimes, in like any types of business or during a pandemic, you get stressed, but people don't know the proper way to lower their anxiety, cortisol levels, stress levels. How do you go about doing that for
So
yourself?
I'll say one of the things is going to be you need a way to, one, properly rest yourself. Because I'll be honest, before COVID happened, I actually did have to go see my doctor and like got into some trouble health wise because I was running into exhaustion problems. I was working really, really hard and taking in a lot of caffeine as well. So I had some exhaustion problems because I wasn't sleeping enough and I was stressed out. So I'd say the number one thing is you need to be able to be well rested. Not saying that you're not going to have stress if you're well rested, but I almost want to say that I've never met a person that gets solid rest that can't handle their stress level, if I put it that way.
Yeah, I hear you. It
See what
would.
I'm saying?
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
because I feel like you're able to, and I'm talking about like not just sleeping, but I'm talking about getting into deep REM sleep, right? And you really wake up and you feel rejuvenated. I feel like that just better prepares you to tackle the day and to be able to not be stressed out, right? And if you are stressed, you're able to just reset. Second thing I'd say is to have a way to relieve that stress. So that working out, like the industry that you and I are involved in, to be able to actually push some of that stress out. Because a lot of people, if they're not working out, then it's just balling up. It's this tension that's just sitting there. So that's how I go about dealing with cortisol. Of course, I work out every day. I do cardio and I do weight training. Right now I'm cutting, so I'm doing a little bit more cardio. And then the third thing I would say is, and I've been guilty of not doing this myself. So for anybody watching this, don't feel too bad. Not having the best diet.
I appreciate you for being transparent.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, because like I said, if you think about those three things, I don't think I've met many people that get good rest, that work out, and that eat healthy. I know that sounds cliche, but I haven't seen anybody that has those three, those three habits that
I'm a
can't.
victim of that.
You know what I'm saying? So when you're eating junk food, and it was interesting you was asking me about intermittent fasting, if you're just pretty much eating any and everything, your energy is gonna go a little bit lower than if you're eating healthy foods. And when I say healthy foods, I mean foods that are like very low in calorie, but you can eat a lot of vegetables, a lot of your healthy carbs, healthy fats. Some of those foods that are not going to be like, you go up here to McDonald's, you get something that's going to be like 1,200 calories, and it wasn't even that much food, but it's just going to weigh you down. So eating a lot of healthy foods will help you have a clear mind. So it's more about what you put in your body, drinking a lot of water. But those are the three things that I would say that I do to help with cortisol, is to just pretty much have a way to relieve my stress and anxiety, is working out, getting good rest. Even if you have to take a supplement or something like that, just a herbal supplement to help you get good rest. And then the third thing is going to be eating healthy.
I want to add to that. So within your gym, do you have any products that you sell too?
So we do actually have Herbalife. I have a coach up there. She sells Herbalife, and they utilize the products as well. But I will say this: anybody that's thinking about using Herbalife or any supplement, you should make sure that you're covering the basics first, which is the three things that I've talked about: eating healthy, working out, resting, and then the supplement will be this icing on the cake.
Okay, I got one more. No, actually, I do got a couple, but anyway, what do you think is more important? Strength and conditioning or cardio?
That's a good one. I would say that's a good one. What's more important?
Yes. Because this is why I ask, because I always think it's weightlifting, resistance training, because like ultimately, once you're doing that, you're burning calories when you sleep. Your metabolic rate may go up, but in cardio, it can be good if you're doing high intensity. I feel like it's good, and not if you're just doing like a consistent 5 running for like 30 minutes, because then your body get adjusted to it and it's harder to lose calories because our body is accustomed to adjusting.
Right.
So we don't expend too many calories.
I'd say It's a tough one. So I would say it would be weight training, just because overall you do need to stimulate your muscles in a certain way. But like I said, it's hard for me to say because at the same time you need cardiovascular health as well. And you're getting a cardiovascular benefit from doing cardio that you're not getting from actually weightlifting. Depending on if we're talking in a bodybuilding sense, you don't need to do as much cardio. You can do cardio when you're ramping it up, when you're cutting. But at the end of the day, the cardiovascular health that the way that you're working your cardiovascular system when you're actually biking or you're doing a stair stepper is not the same as when you're doing intense weightlifting. No, you're talking about the conditioning side of things. I think that does compensate for it.
Yeah, so I'll talk about that because I know it's really important to build your skeletal body muscle. I feel like once you're young, it's easy to do it, but as you're getting older, that's like really important. Because like when you get older, it's harder to do those everyday activities.
Yes,
because it's not.
I agree with you though. I think strength and conditioning is very it's very important for people to do because one is you change your overall body composition. We all know that lean muscle mass is gonna stimulate more calorie burning. Somebody that has more muscle, they're going to burn more calories just because they have more muscle. If you're burning more calories, then that means that you're going to be leaner. It means you're going to be healthier. So it's a ever-ending positive feedback loop that's your body just keeps generating and burning. I guess it's what they call it, a lean burning machine, because it's like everything that you're taking in, your body is burning, versus somebody that if they're only doing cardio and they did not have the lean muscle tissue to burn it, that's what we call skinny fat.
Okay, got you. All right. So you think it's kind of a balance, kind of. I guess both are important in their own way.
But I would say this though. I would say I would do, in a perfect world, I think it should be 70% strength and conditioning or weightlifting, 30% cardio.
Okay, yeah, I like that.
It most definitely is more important. Because you ask me, it's hard for me to say because obviously I'm more towards the strength and conditioning because I'm a bodybuilder. I'm more towards the weights, but I'd be lying if I didn't tell you that, I get to my best self with the cardio that I do. But it's just icing on the cake. The foundation is the training and stuff, the weight training.
Great answer. Before I get into my third question, where can people find you? They want to look you up or see what you're doing or maybe come to your gym.
So they can find me on Ascension, or they can find me on Instagram at Joshua, GLLM, or Ascension.athletics on Instagram, and then on Facebook it's just Josh Gilliam.
All right. My third question: what is your morning routine? Because I read a lot of books about people morning routines, and that's how you build a foundation for your day. Even if it's working out, meditating, saying affirmations, or reading the Bible. What is a normal morning for you?
So the funny thing is, I'm not even gonna sit here and lie to your audience like, I get up and I do this. Nah, I don't do none of that. So right now, I'm in the middle of trying to build a morning routine, a solid one, right? Of course, I'm reading books all throughout the day. I got a bookcase with a couple hundred books over here to my right. But my morning routine: get up, I work out. Since I have a pretty busy schedule, because my gym is not the only business that I have. Sometimes I'm up really, really late, so I might be getting up at 9 or 10 a.m. But the first thing I usually do is go work out, do some cardio, make sure I'm getting in my water and everything, get my body start for the day. But I don't have a solid morning routine where I'm getting up and I'm meditating and
So that sounds like a good morning routine to me. It sounds like me. Like I may work out, do cardio, drink water, read maybe like 20 pages or something.
Right. Put you some audiobooks on and stuff like that. Right.
Yeah, both.
Yeah.
Paper and audio. Yeah. What other businesses do you have?
So I'm in real estate, and then I'm also in e-commerce as well.
E-commerce? Okay.
So
how did you get into
it? I'm a true entrepreneur. Like I don't see. Initially, I feel like I was into just business, being a business owner, but then I eventually, and I'll be honest with you, COVID made me turn into a true entrepreneur. It made me see things as a whole and not just a niche or just a solid identity. It made me expand my identity. So to explain a little bit more for people who don't know the difference between a business owner and an entrepreneur, business owner is going to be somebody that, you ask them what they do and they say, I'm a trainer or I'm a hairstylist, and they have like a space that they use. That's more of a business owner. And an entrepreneur would be more like, I can't really tell you what I do. I got money coming from here. I got money coming from there. I got investments here. I got investments there. and I kind of understand how everything works, and I'm investing in different areas. So that's I kind of turned into more of that after COVID happened.
Okay, tell me a little about the e-commerce.
About the e-commerce?
Yes.
Amazon FBA. Have you heard about that before?
Amazon FBA. Yeah, I thought about doing that.
Products for a lower price, and then you're pretty much listing them as on for hire. So it's a capital strap business. You do have to keep reinvesting profits back into the business to be able to generate a profit, right? But I'll tell you, to go into a deeper explanation on how my portfolio works. I also have real estate. So real estate isn't as capital strap, right? Of course, we all know you can do a no money down real estate strategy. So I don't need a lot of money to be able to generate money in that business. I utilize that business to fund my other businesses that are pretty much assets that are capital strap. So the thing that I didn't know when I got into personal training was that you would need a solid stream of income coming in if you're going to play at that level, if you're going to go rent out a space. If you're going to go in somebody else's space, that's different. But if you're going to go in a brick and mortar, there's a floor to that. You're going to need some kind of capital to be there, right? If you're going to go and you're going to invest into a solid asset, like a restaurant, even e-commerce, you need some kind of buffer of reserves to be there. So we all know what we call cash flow, but then there's also what we call cash stick. So you need something that's going to be 10, 20K a month coming in. So that way you have enough after paying your expenses to be able to start investing aggressively into these assets. If you don't do it that way, I don't see any other way for people to really make that work. It doesn't have to come from real estate, but you have to have some kind of way to have 2 or 3 incomes where one supports the others.
And you say you got into both of those during the pandemic, the FBA and the real estate?
Primarily the real estate, but then eventually it was the FBA. Right.
Okay. Shout out to what you're doing. I'm the same way. That's why I got into health coaching. Like,
right.
See, the pandemic hit, my pay got reduced. I'm like, I'm about to figure this out. Right. Airbnb, health coaching, build a clothing brand.
You got Airbnb?
Yeah, I do that.
That's solid, man. And it's a lot more lucrative than just having a rental, right?
Yeah, definitely.
It's crazy how it works.
See, that's how I fund my clothing.
Right. So you know the game, right? So
Well, not as technical as you. I just like, I got to make moves.
Right.
So I'm just
I'm the same way, bro.
All right. Let me get into my fourth question. Since it's a health podcast as well, health and business podcast. What are some workouts you do to stimulate your mind and your body? I know you're a bodybuilder, so yeah.
To stimulate my mind and my body. So
yeah, like your favorite workouts.
My favorite workouts. I mean, I love arms. I mean, that's pretty much what I'll be training. But I'll say my favorite workout is right now. I'm doing a split where Mondays I do chest, Tuesdays I do back, Wednesdays I do arms, Thursday is glutes and hams and calves. Friday is shoulders, so I actually just got to hit the shoulders before we got on here, and then Saturday I just do cardio. I don't really have a favorite one because I guess what I'm doing, I'm trying to sculpt my whole body, trying to make sure everything becomes, aligned. But to stimulate my mind, I listen to a lot of ebooks and I push myself on a treadmill a lot. That for me alone is it's a push. I have to push myself mentally because right now we're up to doing an hour and a half of cardio a day. It's gonna climb a little bit higher, probably about 2 hours of cardio for me to get down.
Is it because you're cutting?
Because I'm cutting. Yeah.
Okay.
So I like to push my mind mentally that way by pushing myself to do more. Because every time when I get on the treadmill, after about 15 minutes or so, I'm ready to get off, right? But then I'll tell myself, all right, go another 15, go another 15. Because what I used to do, I had a tendency to stop and be like, I'll come back a little bit later and finish it, right? But then I started telling myself, like that's not, you ever heard they say, how you do one thing is how you do everything. So
yes.
Finish what I started. So when I do 15 minutes on the treadmill, once I get to 15, I'm all right, let's go another 15. Let's go another 15. So that's how I push myself to really finish what I start. And I know that sounds cliche, but I mean, after you're doing an hour and a half of cardio for a couple months, man, you just like, man, I'm just ready to get off of here.
I feel you. Some days I do like 2 hours of cardio, just 1 hour of lifting. Do you think, what do you prefer? Lifting first and then doing cardio, or cardio then lifting? And why?
When I'm cutting, I prefer to do cardio in the morning, lifting midday, cardio at night. if I'm in my off season, lifting and then cardio a little bit later. But it's funny that we're talking about this. I'm trying to go more of a healthier route. And I believe that in order for you to be 100% whole, right, just coming from the line of work that I do, you need cardio. So I'm probably not going to go back to just the lifting and then the cardio a little bit later.
So, okay, lifting cardio. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I probably won't be going back to that because you just get muscle bound. You just cardiovascular wise, you're not as healthy, right? You don't want to just be looking good, but you're not physically,
Yeah, your heart health and
right. Yeah. I'm gonna stick to doing more of cardio and then weightlifting during the middle of the day. But I take my weightlifting just as serious. But I guess I kind of do have a morning routine. That's the first thing I like to do in the morning is go ahead and get out to the cardio.
Okay. My last question. What are some foods you like to eat that adds to your health? Because like we said earlier, there's some foods that take energy away from you, and there's healthy foods that give energy to you. What is a diet for you?
So I eat pretty much the same thing every day. When I wake up in the morning, I have my 2 scoops of protein before I go in and do my cardio, bottle of water. Then I like to eat a lot of okra, not breaded, but I like to eat a lot of just regular okra. Put a little bit of salt and pepper and stuff on it. And then I'll have a mixture of either chicken breast, turkey, ground beef, or that's pretty much it. Sometimes tilapia, but not really because it's high in mercury. But I'll have a mixture of those meats with my vegetables. I just really like okra. I used to do broccoli, but I don't know. I really like okra a lot more. So I'll do that, and I have a certain amount of macros that I'm hitting right now. I'm doing kind of keto, so I'm doing 185 grams of protein a day, 65 grams of fat, and then I'm only doing about 35 grams of carbs right now. So that's a typical day for me. As far as what you were asking about intermittent fasting, it's not as much food, so I do feel a lot healthier. I feel a lot more energized throughout the day. But that's pretty much my eating schedule.
How do you feel about carb cycling? Like, there's a lot of people who think they can't go a day without eating carbs. When I say carbs, I'm referring to rice, pastas, especially if they don't need it for the activity of their day. Let's say they have low activity, but they're eating all these your vegetables, your carbs, and your protein, but they can't lose weight. How do you feel about carb cycling? One day eating carbs and not eating carbs?
I feel like it's pretty good. Depending on the body type, depending on the goals. Of course, I used to do it a couple of years ago. I find for my body type, I'm a mesomorph, but I feel like I teeter-totter between the mesomorph and the endomorph. For my body type, it's better for me to have less carbs, right? For a prolonged period of time for me to really get lean. As far as energy goes, I believe that when you first start carb cycling or any decrease of carbs initially, like any change, your body's going to have to get used to it. But over a prolonged period of time, you'll start to get your energy back because your body adapts to it. And the lower carbs that you have, your body will start to rely on your fat as energy.
How did you go about learning your body and it didn't respond to carbs, a lot of carbs very well? How did you go about that intentionally?
Doing a whole bunch of just different preps and stuff. After my first show, I got second, but that's okay. I didn't get as lean as I needed to get. I still don't think I've gotten as lean as I needed to get to really take it there and be my best. But after doing a couple preps, I've kind of found what works, as far as the work that I put in, getting the results that I feel like I need out of it. After doing a couple preps, I've kind of seen that my body responds to a lot more of one, heavier lifting, which I think most people's body responds to heavier lifting. It responds to more fats, medium fats, and it responds to very, very lower carbs. Because I know some competitors where they can take in a lot of carbs. I'm talking about 300-400 grams a day. I can't do that.
Yeah, that's why I didn't want to get into bodybuilding at first. I'm like, yeah, it seems like I eat too much. I don't think I could sustain it. Yeah. Like, I tried getting down to 13.
Huh? During the off season, you do have to eat a lot.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah, I've gotten pretty low to 12, 11%. And I'm like, I don't know how y'all get below 2 digits. Like,
it's tough, man. Those last couple of weeks, you're doing the most I've done in the prep was about 3 hours of cardio a day. That was like the last 2 months before my show, just to dial it in, So I did about 3 hours of cardio a day. And I mean, we dialed it in, but that's not something I choose to do on my own.
Yeah.
I got a coach too, so
yeah, you got to be dedicated and committed to that.
Right.
But yeah, I want to say thank you for coming to the Eye on Active Health Show, Josh. I really appreciate it. I'm sure my audience learned a lot, but my last question for my audience is if they're struggling with weight loss, but they really want to do it, so they're intentional about it, but they don't know how to go about as far as mind shift, as far as like making that turn.
Right.
What 5 tips would you give somebody to start?
5 tips for them to make that mindset shift. Number one, most importantly, I think it goes without saying, is decide you're going to do it, right? So no matter what it takes to get there, decide that you're going to make it happen, all right? The second thing is, once you decide, put together a game plan, put together a group of people that are going to hold you accountable. Find a coach like you and I. Find a family member that's going to, tell you when you're messing up. Post on Facebook that you're going to do X, Y, and Z. So that way you look like a fool if you don't do it, right? You're like, yo, I just thought you said a couple months ago that you was going to be here, and I see you still, you slipping. So I would say, number one, decide. Number two, find somebody to hold you accountable. Number three, which is kind of with number two, put it out in the universe. Put it out there so that way people know, because once you put it out there, the pressure's on you.
Yeah, you can't take it back.
Right. I mean, if you don't do it, I mean, you ain't here in the first place, right? So number four, I would say make sure that you're, you said 5 tips. Number four is going to be to make sure that you're, sounds cliche, taking in the foods that you need. But don't just take in only the foods that you need. Make sure that you're burning more calories than you're taking in. Because we all met a vegan that eats a whole bunch of pastries and a whole bunch of vegetables.
No, I say that all the time.
Right. So that's what I'm saying. Like, it defeats the purpose. So make sure you're taking in less calories than you're burning. And then the number 5 thing is make sure you're actually lifting weights, because I got to throw that in there, because a lot of people, they go and they do a lot of cardio, but they're not actually lifting weights, which is what we were talking about earlier. Strength training is going to be your main source, because that's changing your composition. You see a person that's doing 2 hours of cardio a day, they're going to look drastically different than a person that's doing an hour of weightlifting a day and then 30 minutes of cardio. And so I don't confuse anybody because I just said I was doing 3 hours of cardio before my shows. We're still training hard, weight training wise. We're still lifting hard and doing the cardio. And this is not something I do, all year round. This is something I do for a show. So for the average person, for the average Joe that just wants to look good, you need to make sure that you're actually lifting and having a solid program where you're doing, like I said earlier, 70% lifting, 30% cardio.
Okay, my second question that I had in the beginning. For somebody who want to get into bodybuilding, what 3 tips would you give them? Like, they're pretty lean, they're pretty lean, they have a workout regimen, but they don't know the first step to get into that competition wise.
I say if you're lean and you already think you look decent, I say find a local coach, a local posing coach to teach you how to do the poses, or you can look on YouTube. Second thing I would say is chances are, if you think you're lean enough, like I get some people are lean, get a little bit leaner, because you really got to get lean. Like bodybuilding, the category itself, is kind of like a, if he dies, he dies type mentality, right? You got to get lean. Like, I mean, I'm talking, if you're not feeling like you're going to die before the show, you're probably not ready. And I know that sounds funny, but it really is. You just need to get as lean as possible. Just forget the fat. You know what I'm saying? Like, everything needs to be showing, veins need to be sticking out, all that. Striated. So if you already think you lean, go ahead and get leaner. Put yourself through hell so that way you get real lean. You said 3 things. The third thing is going to be, so what I say, find a show, find a coach.
Get lean.
Find a show, find a coach, and get leaner.
Yeah, get leaner.
Yeah, you don't want to be up there, like, now, you know what I'm saying? So, but I say you need to make sure you dialing in.
All right, appreciate that. I know my audience is listening. Hopefully, you answer all their questions. And if they have more, they can like, share, and comment. And I want to say thank you again for coming on the Eye on Active Health Show. It was a pleasure having you as a guest. I know we're alumni of the same high school, so it was a good following up with you. I'm happy. I see what you're doing. I wish you the best, and I can't wait to see your brand and your business grow in all aspects.
Appreciate you for having me, bro.
Oh, my pleasure, bro.